Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation. Watch Kalamazoo Lively Arts every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Jan Cruzy plays with and explores instruments firsthand at Orff Music.
The Orff technique was developed by Carl Orff and Gudnad Kateman, and it was all about observing how children learn, and they learn through immersion and exploration. And he said, well, this is how we learn language, this is how we should learn music. And so with the Orff process, it's a lot of experimentation, you start with imitation, exploration, and they get to play with it, experiment with it, whatever concept you're working on, and then they get to create with it.
Marcia, if I was coming in here, what would I do? I'm not a percussionist.
Just see what kind of sounds you can make. Just play.
So if I was one of your students, you would just come in and say,
Yep.
just start playing something.
Okay. Yep. Can you think of any other ways you might make a sound? Okay. Any other thoughts?
I can see where the critical thinking comes into it. Yeah, I mean, you know, you have your...
And of course the kids will come in and go, you know, they'll be all over it. I've even had some kids bring their foot up and start playing it with their feet. And as long as they're not abusing the instrument, we're okay. But they need to know what kind of sounds. Carl Orff again said, how do children learn? They learn through play. And so we need to give them a chance to play. When I start class, if I'm using a piece of equipment, for instance, bean bags, I will just set the bean bags out on the floor, and then as children come in, they decide, they just get to play with them because they need to play with it. It's something new, it's a prop, they need time to play. And so when it comes time for us to actually use that with the piece of music that we're doing, it's not a novelty. They're used to playing with it, they've figured out how to manipulate whatever it is, but then we'll use it. Sometimes it's a structured game, sometimes it's just listen to what you hear and react to that. For instance, with beanbags, they may toss them in the air and their voice follows what they see. So there is a musical goal in mind in the play, but it's a fun way to do it. And that's how we learn language. We are immersed in it, we hear it, we play with it. When children babble, they're playing with different sounds when babies are babbling. And that's what we do here, we play with the sounds. Whenever I introduce a new instrument, there's always time to just play. They need to know what it can do before they can figure out what to do with it. And so then I'll say, okay, so now let's just take one hand, and we're just gonna drop it in the middle, like you're bouncing a ball. Now try it with your other hand. And now go back and forth. Now go faster.
It's hard. I can see where, like I said, the critical thinking comes in, because you really have to think about your hands and what your brain is saying and what else can I do to make sound. So you would say slow or faster, or use something else as far as not just necessarily hitting the drum, but maybe...
And you'll see that when the kids come in and when we do explore, I'll start by giving patterns, so be my echo. So we've had a chance to do my echoes, but then the next child is the leader. And so everybody gets a chance to be the leader. They do their own thing. I did a lesson with hand drums with a kindergarten class. And everybody had their own drum, and we experimented with sounds. And one of them starts clicking at it and goes, that sounds like rain. All of a sudden, my whole lesson plan went out the window. We did Rain, Rain, Go Away. They figured out that if they flipped the drum over, it got louder, more like a thunderstorm. And if somebody picked up the drum and started hitting it, it was like thunder. And it turned into their own thunderstorm. And it's amazing when you can just let them go with it.
So I would try to make a melody, or would you just say, okay?
And again, we go through some echoes, and what I'm asking, without saying it, you'll see me use hands together. You'll see me do hands apart. You'll see me go up. You'll see me go down. And so all I'm going to say is echo me. And so I'll go. And what I'm noticing there, again, this is what I'm taking in when the kids are coming in. You followed really well until I got to the idea of skipping.
And then that's harder, so I had to think about that more, and then I didn't exactly do it right, so.
But I'm not going to tell you that you didn't do it right. It's information for me, and that's going to tell me, okay, when we start talking about melody, I need to make sure I mention notes that are side by side, and notes that are far apart, and notes that are just a little ways apart.
When you say apart, you mean on the xylophone itself?
On the xylophone itself, yeah.
But it's not important really the notes I play. You don't want me to mimic the notes that you're playing. You want me to mimic the pattern.
The pattern.
The pattern.
Yeah, the exposure. And then again, you'd get to do your thing. This program, the goal is to make them lifelong learners and lovers of music, so that when they turn on the radio, they can appreciate it. I am so amazed that I'll have a student come in and say, oh, I was listening to this song on the radio, and did you know there was an ostinato? And I'm like, really? Can you describe it to me? Yeah, they just kept going, do, 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 do. And it happens through the song. I knew it was an ostinato. And those are like, you know, those, oh yes, it's working kind of moments.
So Jan, why is Orff such a good program?
Well, it's a good introduction for kids to learn about music. It makes them think. It was hard to really play with Marcia when she started playing different rhythms, but I'm a musician, and I thought it was hard because she would tap a beat and then I would try to tap a beat, so it was really difficult to think and play at the same time.
And what is the principle of Orff?
Well, Orff was developed by Karl Orff in Germany as a way to combine music and play, similar to experiences that kids have when they go outside and they play, and similar to learning a language. Every child could be musical or like music if they just, you know, give them a chance. It's fun, it's learning rhythms and tempos. There's no pressure to learn music like to learn notes because it's all hands and rhythm and eye and ear coordination. It's improvisational. It's just very, very happy stuff.
Okay, thank you for that report. Thank you.
Watch Kalamazoo Lively Arts every Tuesday at 6 p.m.